So I work with a lot of clients that are relocating here from out of state, and a common frustration I hear from people, particularly that are not from the West Coast, like say California, is that our yards are not very big here. And considering that I'm hearing this over and over again, I decided to start highlighting neighborhoods that have bigger yards. There's actually quite a few of them in the East Valley. You just have to know where to look. And today we're talking about White Fence Farms. And this is a neighborhood, whenever I post it on really any social media platform, people love this area and they want to know more about it. So I'm going to break it down and explain why people love White Fence Farms and what it has to offer. And more importantly, we'll talk about some of the logistics living here too, because it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And if you don't know, I'm courtneyAZrealestate. I'm a local real estate agent here in the East Valley, and I actually live in Gilbert. So I would say I know this town pretty well. And if you are planning on relocating or purchasing a home, if no one's taken the time to actually walk you through the home buying process here in the Phoenix East Valley, my contact information is below. Just reach out. But anyways, White Fence Farms. So these are neighborhoods. There's actually 3 sections, and they are known for being really large lots that actually have a lot of privileges for animal rights, horses, goats, all that stuff. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But there's actually 3 different sections of White Fence Farms in Gilbert. They're all on the north side. You have 2 sections over by the Riparian Preserve. This is on the very most northeast part of Gilbert. And then there's another section about a mile south of downtown Gilbert. This is on the southeast corner of Warner and Cooper. The crazy part about these neighborhoods, or what really draws people to White Fence Farms, is it feels like when you're in these neighborhoods, it feels like you're in a very rural area, very country feel. And there's a lot of mature landscaping too. So you're going to see these big trees. But the thing is like once you get out of the neighborhood, you're in the city of Gilbert. You have every convenience at your doorstep, whether you want Sprouts or Trader Joe's, or if you want to go to Santan Village, that's only about 10 minutes away, and that's every store that you can think of. So it really is kind of the best of both worlds in the fact that you have all these conveniences, but you also have this really like kind of slower, quiet neighborhood. So the lots in these neighborhoods, they're going to be anywhere from 1 to 2 acres. And for the Phoenix East Valley, or really the Phoenix metro area, this is quite a bit of land. The homes themselves, they're going to be more typical ranch style homes. If they're fairly big, a lot of them are going to be like 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. I know there was a house that sold not too long ago. It was huge. It was like 5,000 square feet. Now, some of the homes in the neighborhood definitely have been beautifully renovated, a lot more modern. But I would say most of the homes, they feel like your typical like ranch style home, or your farmhouse, if you will. Very functional, but nothing like super swanky. I wouldn't say, if you're looking for more of like a luxury home with luxury finishes, there's other neighborhoods I would recommend over White Fence Farms. The reason why people are really coming here are for the larger lots and the fact that the neighborhood has no HOA. So when you don't have an HOA, if you want to build an RV garage or a casita or any sort of additional dwelling unit, you have one less hurdle to go through. You still need to go through the city, of course, to get permits, but it just makes it a little bit easier. And as far as pricing, something you really have to consider is when you have land that does come with a price tag. We don't have a lot of it here, in the Phoenix metro area. So for the most part, in the past year or two, most of the homes have sold between that 1.1 to 1.3 range. We've seen a couple on the, a little higher, a little lower. And this really comes down to how big is the lot, how much land is actually for sale. Now, in general, comparing larger lots here in Gilbert compared to like Tempe, it's going to be a little less expensive because you're not quite as central. But there are some cities, I will say, that's going to be less expensive. I mean, of course, if you go further out like Santan Valley, a 2-acre lot is going to be a lot less expensive than here in the north part of Gilbert. One huge draw to this neighborhood is, of course, because we are on larger lots, people can obtain horse privileges. And for the county of Maricopa, you actually have to have at least an acre of land to be able to have horse privileges. And then of course, other livestock like cows or sheep or goats, it's definitely much more feasible and easier to get those animal privileges. Now, I wouldn't say every house in these neighborhoods is necessarily a horse property. Probably every 1 in 5 homes, I would say, actually have some sort of livestock in their backyard. The other cool thing about these neighborhoods is they have flood irrigation. And if you aren't familiar with flood irrigation, it's run by the Salt River Project, or SRP, canal system, and they actually flood the land with water. And this method of deep watering is just much more cost effective, and it's much more efficient if you have, larger grass areas, trees, or of course livestock. So the other really interesting thing about this neighborhood is the one section, it's considered a county island. And if you don't know what a county island is, we're in the jurisdiction of Maricopa County, our county here, but we're in an unincorporated area that's surrounded by the city of Gilbert. Now, really, you probably wouldn't even notice until you bought a home here, but you're still going to have the Gilbert City utilities. You're still going to have emergency services like firemen and policemen that can come to this area. The one thing actually though is sewer. You are going to have septic tanks, and this is actually for all three of the neighborhoods. And if you haven't had a septic tank, it's not a huge difference, but when you're under contract for this home, there is an inspection that the seller is responsible for completing to make sure that everything's a-okay. It's all copacetic. Now, my absolute favorite part of these neighborhoods is the vegetation. There is, of course, it's a little more lush and green there because of, flood irrigation. It allows for that. But some of the trees are absolutely huge and beautiful, and it really doesn't feel like Arizona at all. It's just a really quiet oasis of a neighborhood. Now, if you and your family are looking or hoping to have a larger backyard, I actually started a newsletter where every week I show the new listings that are either coming to the market or just hit the market that are on over a quarter acre in both Gilbert and Chandler. So if you think that would be helpful for you, or you're just curious what these homes look like, go ahead and click the link below and I will add you to the list. Thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to subscribe and have a fantastic day.